moment for more on the future of Everton Football Club. We're joined now by former boss Sam Allardyce, who finished 8th. Sam, good morning.
Good morning, Sam.
Good morning. How are you, lads? Okay?
Very good.
Very good.
By the way, I was shocked by this, Ancelotti. See you later. It's very, very difficult, Sam, to turn Real Madrid down, but I didn't see that coming.
No, not at all. I think that it's obviously Carlo Ancelotti has always lived in that sphere, hasn't he? You know, all his career he's been right up there with Champions League winner, the sort of clubs that are in the top echelons of Europe, and I think he found the Everton one really tough. You know, I think at the end, when I was looking at him on the touchline, he looked a little bit bewildered on how is he going to turn this around, or how is he going to make it better after such a brilliant start, by the way.
Second in Boxing Day, Sam. Second.
I think that, and they found a goal scorer in Calvert-Lewin, and I think that Richarlison complemented him well, but unfortunately they couldn't get the results over the line to keep such a fantastic start to the season going, and ended up as disappointed as everybody's ended up in terms of Everton and what money's been spent and what's expected. The amount of money that Farhad has put into the club, obviously they really do deserve better, but how do they get there? And I think that ultimately revolves around, 6 managers in 7 years, including myself, and a stability and a recruitment policy has to be the way forward, Alan, if they are to succeed and want to be or break into Europe top 6, then top 4, then you have to look at recruitment side of it, quality of player. You've had one of the best managers throughout Europe this time, and are still come up short. So it has to be down to the recruitment as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Talking about recruitment, Sam, I mean, we touched on it there. They probably overachieved at the start. They had a phenomenal start, sitting top of the league, second Boxing Day, finishing 10th. But you look at the squad, they look pretty solid to me, Sam. I'm looking at them and thinking, you know, maybe a couple of transfer windows, add here and there, maybe 3 or 4 or 5 players, and they wouldn't be too far away. Is that fair?
Well, everybody's had that, Alan, haven't they? Like, I mean, you know, I think that I didn't get the opportunity for that window at the end of me joining, and the new manager comes in, and then he has his little spell of recruitment that doesn't work, and then Carlo comes in as his recruitment spell that hasn't worked. Like, and that's what I'm talking about, stability in the manager. I think obviously they thought Carlo would have been there for a long time under the contract that he'd signed, but unfortunately now he's left for Real Madrid, and of course Everton fans will probably blame him for that, but you can't blame him for going for such a big club that he actually loves, like, you know. And I think that that's very, 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 very difficult for him to turn down. It's very difficult for Everton to turn down and say, no, you can't go, you're contracted to us, you're staying.
Sorry, I thought Danny was going to come in there.
I saw him waving.
Sorry, Sam. You've been around. You've been in and around that football club for a while. You've seen what it's like from the inside.
Yes.
Are Everton now looking for a manager with a style of play or a certain type of manager? Because the club has been sort of transformed, isn't it, with Marcel Brands coming in and obviously Farhad Moshiri over the last few seasons. It looks more stable behind the scenes. So is it now just a case of bringing in a manager to change the style of play, perhaps?
Style of play is always determined on how quick can you change the style of play, Danny, to what capabilities of the player that you have in your squad. I mean, you know, Carlo often played 4 centre halves in his back 4 last season. You know, and I think that shows that he wanted defensive stability and couldn't quite find it, you know, and I think that always comes from success, and I think it gets overlooked outside of football. If you look at Chelsea and you look at what they've done, their success came around stability, defensive stability. Manchester City's success this season came around defensive stability, and as a manager, you've got to weigh that defensive side up against your attacking side and your flair times when you're on the ball, and that gets forgotten in this crazy media world that we live in now. And anybody that has a good, basic, stable defensive unit is the one that's going to finish in the top 4, or the one that's going to finish in the league, or the one that's going to win the Champions League, or it's going to be the one that wins the Euros this year. So defensive stability is often ignored completely in terms of how you play. I think Frank lost his job because he couldn't find the defensive stability that the manager's got now. And I think that's very important. And you can come under a huge amount of criticism for that as a manager. Even I've heard Chelsea saying they're too boring, they're not enough flair, they're not enough going forward. But look what they've done in such a short period of time.
Yeah.
And that's what Everton need, a balance. Every club, if they're going to finish in the top 6 or the top 4, needs a balance. They need the clean sheet record. And obviously they need somebody on the front line that's creative and can score 15, 20, 25 goals a season.
So, Sam, you mentioned Frank Lampard. I wonder if Frank would be in the frame for Everton. I've heard Moyes' name mentioned. Would you go back, Sam? It's a great football club. Would you go back?
I could not see the phone call from Farhad for me. There was a certain element in Everton, unfortunately, that started to complain about my style, as always, because it lives with me, Alan. It's like that great big 10-ton weight on top of my head. You try and bring what to the football club what's needed. That's results first, and then you add to results by buying better players and creating and be more attractive in terms of the football that you play. I can't see them giving me a ring. They gave me a ring because they were desperate last time, and as a man that's capable of getting them out of difficult position, which is what we did very, very quickly, by the way. Then they didn't let me go on from there. That was the disappointing thing. So I can't see that happening.
And what about another big football club, Wolves? It looks as if it might be another Portuguese coming in, but you're a local boy, Dudley, so,
You never know, you might get the call, who knows?
I don't see why not. I really don't. You finished 8th with Everton with peanuts to spend. Carlo, great manager, finishes 10th and he spent hundreds of millions.
I'm surprised he's left. No. Surprised that what's happened behind the scenes, in terms of, why has he decided to move on after a difficult season? But in saying that, they still finished mid-table. What was the expectation? Yes, the expectation was built very, very highly, very, very quickly, and that's a big danger for a manager sometimes. When you overachieve, then everybody expects you to go on and increase it from there. And I think they sold a couple of players. Obviously, the centre forward who scores all the goals was out with his fractured skull, and that caused them a problem. They sold Jota, to Liverpool. They lost a few goals there. So they had a difficult season through injuries, and I think that always can happen. But still a very good season for me, finishing in the middle of the table. It's who they're going to go out and buy now. And that's very difficult for every club, isn't it? With all the money that's been lost in the Premier League now.
Yeah.
Fans demand, let's get out and improve the side. Where are you going to do that? How much is it going to cost? How much money is available at every club now for the type of player that you actually need to become better?
Sam, one last question, come out of time, mate. If Everton came knocking on the door for Steven Gerrard, is there any chance he would take that Everton job?
No, I don't think so.
No? No,
I don't think so.
There you go, Ali.
I do not.
Will you, Alan, move on? Right?
Sam,
Ali, listen, I didn't recognise Ali with that beard, by the way.
Robinson Crusoe.
Who's that in the corner of my screen here?
Yeah, Robinson Crusoe. Sam, take care, mate.
Great to see you, Sam. All the best, mate.
I know.
Sam Allardyce there. So, 8th he finished.
Breakfast with Alan Brazil. Thursday and Friday morning, 6 till 10. On AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.